Hello and welcome to this episode of In the Clutches of the Cult. My name is John Girdbed. I am the GM for this campaign. We rejoin the action as Sage asks Borrowed a question.
Could I want to ask a favour. I'd like to speak to Borrowed.
Have you made an appointment?
Hey.
Are you like washing up or still cooking?
I'd be washing up at this point.
Okay, so I'm gonna just lean over on the desk and go. So, have you been hearing voices?
Yes. It's such a weird question to just throw out there spontaneously.
Trust me, like you guys can't hear, but you know.
No, I know, but just
You're too busy like questioning, stroking the doggy.
I want to point out that I see this dog basically acting like one of those St. Bernards that still thinks it's a puppy. Except when it's in a fight, then it kind of switches to "I'm going to maul your face off" mode.
Its eyes go from yellow to red.
Yeah.
You don't know how because you didn't install that functionality in there, but they do.
It's
Weird.
It's a silly question, but I know I've got my opinion. If that makes sense. My assumption, shall we say? You don't have to explain. Just say yes or no.
oh, and you're crazy. What the fuck?
Yes.
Where am I at this moment?
Do you think there is a connection
Between
the voices and the chained one? I've been thinking about it on my Cape Swishy sessions.
the
I
one
go up
where
to
you,
switch my cape to think.
the ones where you then so close to the web.
The words that he said, and I quote, were "release me," to me. I don't know if he said the same thing to you.
No, he said something different to me. At least I think it's like I'm not really sure.
I was
Didn't
going to
get a
say,
purpose.
would you like to share what quote he said?
No, I believe that's my business.
Maybe it's something that, it might be your business, it might be my business, but do you think we should keep it quiet to the others or share it? We're in no danger. It's information. Borrow's just wiping the same bowl.
It's just this skillet that's got a lot of like grease on it that he's just continuously just going in.
It's clean. It's clean. It's now pristine. It's like this. It's like a hole in it.
He's become polishing it at this time.
Coated in grease and grime, but now it is pristine.
Yeah. I'm not gonna keep this from the group. It seems like they should be included in what's, kind of what's happening. Because I thought, how I got my powers and my ability to, summon weapons and do all this crazy shit that I can do, my dad said that usually there's only room enough in a soul for a few special gifts someone as powerful as him could bestow upon mortals or whatever he said. I think I'm paraphrasing.
So there is a pattern. There is a pattern. I was correct. It's a warlock.
How do you mean?
This voice that we hear, it's a demon or some sort of demonic being.
Anything to do with how do you think it's a demon?
Well, it wants us to release it, and plus only us warlocks can hear it. If we get this power from certain entities that are not from this world, come on, my friend. You are intelligent. Do you not think of these things?
I mean,
Or was you too, what's the word? No, like, this is a joke. Like, he's not being serious, but, or was you too, distracted by your night last night?
Ooh.
there's a kitchen knife in his hand suddenly.
No, it was supposed to be a joke!
Yes, but unfortunately, Sage doesn't phrase things like jokes.
I'm just gonna walk off. and I'm just gonna sit down and go, guys, me and Borrowed have to say something. We have been hearing voices in our head. It says, release me. Well, to me, Borrowed won't open his mouth. You still got, I can see you still got the knife in your hand. Could this
The knife
be
with
a
the finger.
connection to the Unchained one?
Sage, I hate to say this, but you're nuts.
Nuts.
Completely, utterly. Actually, no, I don't really feel that bad saying it. You're nuts.
Why would you say that?
I don't like
Please.
you mostly. No.
you would say that. One, I
Damn,
don't like you.
Straight up, I don't like you really. Damn. I mean, that's very lunar.
Everyone else has just gone, whoa.
Wow, Lunar.
takes a sip of his morning breakfast drink.
I'm just sitting here kind of like just reading, just like, what's going on?
Seriously.
Normal.
Lunar would just be
No, you'd
looking
still
at-
be human.
I'd be
Unless you
Lunar-
decide to drop it.
never.
Lunar would just be looking at him like, is this another one of his weird hero mental breakdowns?
My mental breakdown.
Lunar, I'd be inclined to agree with you if I weren't hearing them as well.
Well, yeah, but we even sure they're the same voice?
Oh yes,
I
they
mean-
are the same voice.
How do you know?
we-
Are you hearing his voice?
Look at Borrowed's expression. Look at his face. Look at the Green Man's face.
Borrowed.
Looks at the
Right,
green man's
thank you.
face.
How?
It is clearly
I don't know.
coincidence.
It said
I'm-
a similar thing to me, and it gave me a dream last night.
Okay.
And it turned my vision red, and there was a black pyramid of stone in a cave. I was laying in some water, and there was the cave entrance, and when I called out to see if anyone was there, the really dark voice said, "Welcome," or something like that. And my vision started to turn red, of like visually red every step I took towards the pyramid, because I was kind of curious. And now I can do this. And Bard will summon his sword and cast Wrathful Smite on it.
As you summon your sword, Borrowed, you hold it out to the side, and what normally comes as a long sword just explodes out in both directions. You're holding the center of a double-ended sword. And as you cast Wrathful Smite on it, it starts
is
to
new.
glow red.
This
Very
is new.
Very impressive.
This is new. I didn't know I could do this. This is new.
You can cook stuff on your sword now.
There's just a blood-red field around both ends of the long metal sword.
Oh,
This
okay.
In
Um,
Sage, this thing that spoke to you, have you seen the Black Pyramid in a cave?
no, unfortunately.
What
But-
has it only ever spoken to you in your mind, or have you had dreams?
He said, this creature, or this entity said that he can give me power.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question. Has it only spoken in your mind, or has it given you dreams?
Only in the mind. No dreams. Not yet.
All right. What's the tone of the voice as it speaks to you? Like,
Uh,
is it like a deep baritone voice? Is it
It's
kind of
like-
a light?
demonic.
Kind of like dark and scratchy.
The
little
gravity of
bit.
the voice is uneasy.
Right. I
Um,
seriously think. I mean, joking aside, it sounds like just both happen to be really unlucky and are hearing completely different entities. One of them, I think, might actually matter to our cause. The other one, I think, is just or bad luck, really.
I gotta say, I am kind of concerned the fact that uh, can John, what happens if I try and switch the weapon again to like instead of a longsword, like a heavy crossbow? What happens then?
You're holding a heavy crossbow.
Is it still got like that?
It's got a
Weird
red
sort
glow around the tip.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
that is pretty concerning.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
I mean,
Bard's gonna unsummon it.
Would you suggest that Borrowed is the lucky one, and myself is the unfortunate one? Is that what you're trying to say, madam?
no. What I'm saying is, one of us has a legitimate problem, and one of us is smart enough not to go making deals with demons that are supposedly talking in their head.
Have you done anything to agree to anything, Borrowed?
No, I was just curious, and I stepped towards a pyramid. It said,
And you, Sage, have declined any offers.
Yes.
It may well be that it is the same entity, but one of you has accepted and the other one hasn't.
I mean, that's
You think that Borrowed is more special because he can put his
I'm
sword
not
on
saying
fire?
Borrowed is more special. I'm saying that Borrowed has actively approached this being, where you have declined it.
I'll just get my sword out and just cast Wrathful Smite as well. Just look.
Your normal sword apparates crystals along it, and there is a slight thrum of power around it.
it is
And have you always had that, or is that
I
new?
have always had this.
Yet
That is
Borrowed has something
infinitely
that he is not supposed to have.
less concerning than the giant double sword with the red demon glove.
I can control it.
This is all so.
Control what?
You can feel the power. You might not feel it, but I can feel the power of this blade. If Borrowed can't control this, this could be worrying. This could be deadly. He may have gained power, but there is balance on the scales. There is a price to power. And I just look at Borrowed with like, this is the first time a sage has actually showed emotion. You need to be careful. Swigs drink. And puts his sword away. Sage doesn't know how to show emotion.
clearly.
Now, if we hear this voice again, both of us, we'll promise, well, I promise, to always tell you and document what I hear and see. This could be information to our investigation of the Unchained One.
Can I ask a quick question though? When did you each start hearing your respective voices?
When we had that fight.
Yes. After.
Let's
Well, in the
started-
middle of it. Yeah, in the middle of it.
Started for the both of you at the same time.
Mm-hmm. When I was on the rocks, sleeping, that's when it spoke more. But it kept
You
on saying
both remember hearing it during the fight.
during the fight as well.
Yeah.
And then when did you say that you saw the markings on the wall?
Just after your fight.
There is a pattern.
Also, this is after we picked up all the villagers and we first heard of this chain.
Yes. See what I mean?
Steel, roll me a intelligence check.
Intelligence check! Make sure I'm not put myself on advantage by accident. Intelligence, where the fuck is done? 19.
You recall back to before you met this group, when you were exploring the little...
Oh, a simpler time.
You were exploring the little village that Chupa left you in. You remember seeing graffiti mentioning releasing an entity.
When I was... the village that you picked me up in, there was mention of something being released in there, too, in graffiti.
What's the village?
The village of...
Yeah.
Oh. I've got an uncle that lives in.
yeah, you know, Plotville.
Yeah, that one.
Yes, of course.
I don't think we ever actually decided what the name of the place was.
If I remember, it was some shitty little village in the middle of nowhere that we didn't bother to name.
It was, yeah, basically.
So from now on, it is now Plotville.
I mean, we might have named it. I'll check when I'm editing, but
Plotbury on
Thames.
On Thames.
On Thames.
I'm going to finish my breakfast. And then I'm going to get out of the kitchen. Luna's going to give me... Luna... No, it's not that. I'm just going to give Luna an eye, and she's going to stare at me with evil eyes.
She is not going to waste her time staring at you.
So much for that.
So we just think you're staring longingly at Luna.
Everybody gets completely the wrong idea.
No, of course not. No.
Like Milo and Borg. Should we tell him that she's getting married?
She's already married?
Sage goes for a little nap.
Essela.
Isola.
Yes.
Eventually, you make your way back to Summit Hall.
Good.
And you make your way into the library. Do you bring anybody with you?
Does anybody have any business in the library?
Nope.
I mean,
Yeah.
Milo's borrowed a book, but they've still got 9 days or so to hold on to it.
Those fines can really be, they're really steep, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to bother with the late fees for Summit Hall Library.
Well, I'm not particularly about bringing anybody with me, but if anybody wishes to come, that's fine.
So does anybody want to go to the library?
Sure, Luna will go.
Yeah, I will also go.
Very well. Okay, yes. Ah, hello, Archivist, yes.
Yes, Essela. I have managed to find six entities that that fit the chained moniker. You might want some paper for this.
In other words, make some fucking notes or I'll kill you.
Don't worry, I have a keen mind. That's it. That is not a problem.
Excellent. I'm going to drop the accent for this because it's going to be difficult.
Cool.
Write notes.
He lists for you the following. Draniasieth, the Slumbering Doom. I will copy that into the chat for you as well. Draniasieth, the Slumbering Doom. He has managed...
That's not how I thought that would be spelled, to be honest.
This is an entity that was reportedly sealed away about 250 years previously on the Cholt Peninsula by a group known as the Iron Scale Concord. Little is known about the Slumbering Doom except a phrase that has been repeated in a couple of the books. There are no gods, there are only chains, and those at either end.
Okay, moving on to the next one.
Candidate B is Malazan, the Angel in Irons, who fought and wiped out the Dawnbringer Company, a group of heroes nearly 400 years ago. Malazan was sealed away in a crypt somewhere in the Sword Mountains by a dragon known as Palarandusk.
Sword Mountains, that's to the north, isn't it?
From where you are at the moment, I think, yeah, just sort of a little north. It's not like the big north.
Okay.
Then he mentions Gorley, the Creeping Corruption.
Yay, out of character. Yay, that guy.
Details are light on this entity, but reports of a brutal attack in Elysium just over 2 centuries ago, before all details of the instigator disappear.
Okay, as a player, I know where my vote is. I know where my vote is going, but as a character, I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't have that extra information.
Borrowed and Luna might know who Gorley is.
Can I mean, I assume I'm there because I'm here to look up the exact same things.
Yeah.
Can I make like a something
Intelligence check for me.
Oh boy!
Holy shit!
Oh.
Jeez,
Oh,
no!
What's that you say? A 10? Of course. It'll be a bit.
It'll be there soon.
Number incoming. Incoming. Just reminded now of the of Reboot, where it'd be new game.
Incoming game.
God, I haven't seen that show in ages.
It has not aged well.
Oh
That-
God, no! I remember the CG was borderline horrifying even back when I was a kid, but
Nope.
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 The animation studio that made Reboot went on to do a lot of the Barbie films.
oh,
I mean,
that's cool. I like the Barbie
A
movies.
fate worse than death.
Anyway,
Look, Barbie movies are good. Suck my dick.
It's true. They are.
Number 4.
Option number 4 is the Elder Elemental Eye. A unknown but very powerful elemental worshipped by the elemental princes, arch-elementals known as Imix, Ogremok, Yancibin, and Ol Hydra, apparently
Tanny,
trapped...
don't listen to any of this, Tanny.
Well,
Apparently trapped in an interdimensional space known as Void Harrow. The 4 elemental cults that rampaged through the Deseret Valley about a decade previously were trying to summon the princes to the material plane.
And they were stopped by a group of adventurers with a duck.
The duck is the one that actually stopped.
Number 5.
Theris Dune, he of Eternal Darkness,
Oh, damn.
is an evil entity of decay, insanity, and darkness. Little is known about what he actually wants, because most people exposed to him for any length of time are left to babble and shriek in incomprehensible ways.
Nice.
Well, that sucks.
And number 6.
And your final candidate, I mean, this is a real easy one. She Who Crawls.
Oh, me then.
References a large worm-like creature buried somewhere deep within Toril. Vashik points out that her name has been stricken from all records, as the belief is that saying it aloud will weaken her prison and allow her to come to the surface and go on a rampage.
Like, not saying Voldemort.
Pretty much. But, with giant worm-like creature instead of powerful wizard.
And we do have some other information which may be useful, and I would like to relate to the events of the past day.
Oh dear.
Specifically the undead and the cursed mask and stuff.
I would also like to bring up with the archivist that did anything mentioning like just sort of a black stone pyramid.
Basically, all the information we currently have, we're just going to dump on this poor archivist.
He looks a little confused as he slowly takes everything in. I found no references to a specific pyramid. They all, in their own ways, would possibly have followers that could animate the dead for their own specific reasons.
I wonder. Do we have the mask with us?
You could do, yes.
One of the three. Right. I'm wondering about the actual design of the mask, whether that's relevant. Not the rune, not supposed to runes, but the actual design of the mask itself.
Okay.
That's a good point.
So I'd like to bring out the mask and say, we found this mask, and it's a cursing mask, so be very, very careful with it.
He's halfway towards putting it on. Oh!
Don't do that. I know it fits perfectly well, but
But it's so wonderful. It feel great on my buns.
Look at the runes. Look at the runes.
He takes the runes in and notes that yes, it's very wise, and it should definitely that they have a vault at Summit Hall that they can lock it in.
I'm more interested in the actual design of the mask itself. Is there any sort of iconography there that is relevant?
He looks at it, and he just sort of looks through his notes, and he scratches off Gorley the Creeping Corruption.
Scratches off Gorley?
Yes. He says that there's nothing that would connect Gorley to this iconography. The others are less clear.
I don't suppose this matches as well, but when we came from Beliard, there was an earthquake there as well, and one of the townspeople mentioned the name Discordia.
No.
Borrowed straightens his posture just a little bit more.
Okay. Okay, so we've got 5 people. Druzniath is in Chult, I believe you said.
Sealed away in the Chult Peninsula, yes.
I think we can probably disregard him. Angel and Iron, the Sword Mountains to the north, you're saying. Elder Elemental Eye has already been dealt with by all accounts. Do we get a general location for Tharisdun?
He has sort of small pockets of insane followers around. Roll me an investigation check.
Oh, joy. 15.
And anybody else you bring with you can do the same.
Investigation, you say?
Yes.
I will do that.
Sure.
Fun.
11.
21.
Fine. Sure.
I accidentally closed my character sheet.
I think the 21 is going to get it.
What am I checking?
Investigation.
There we go.
Ooh.
Luna gets distracted in the library research by a book about unicorns.
Unicorn dancing on rainbows.
Which she spends most of the hour the rest of you are researching, sort of correcting on the points of unicorns that it gets wrong.
This is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is so insanely wrong. How insulting! Where did they get this idea? I don't know who wrote this book, but he's a complete idiot. I don't even believe this. Someone get me equivalents.
You close Volo's Guide to Unicorns.
The starting chapter. Unicorns are the most dangerous creatures in the world.
Elegant and noble creature. And I mean, what is all of this about eating their excrement? Honestly, came up with that idea.
While that's going on in the background,
The rest of you spend an hour reading through various books. You find no mentions to black pyramids, or to anything else, but you do find borrowed
Ooh.
2 relevant points. One, a common reaction among those who follow. A moment.
You forgot.
He follows someone.
Follows someone, doesn't he?
No, I just got messaged.
Okay.
Common reaction to those who follow John the DM.
A common reaction among those following He of Eternal Darkness is to remove their own eyes,
Oh shit.
claiming that they can see even without the use of eyes.
and I take it none of the bodies we found had their eyes ripped out.
No.
Okay.
Although they were all
that's
dead.
crazy, and then pass it out.
The other point that you come up with is you find out that there was an ancient battle, primordial, before the races walked the world. Battle that took place between Tharizdun and the combined forces of Pelor, Lathander, and Ioun, which resulted in the banishment of Tharizdun to an outer plane.
Cool. I also passed that along.
Beyond that, you don't. The rest of you don't find anything of interest.
We find nothing about the symbol that we've seen, the vaguely scale symbol, I think it is.
You don't know.
Who was the other person that you said could possibly know about, what was it? Gola?
Golly.
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 Luna and Milo, make me intelligence checks.
Okay.
Again.
Different thing.
Not rolling well today, unfortunately. I think my birthday vibes are now leaving me.
Oh, good.
Oh,
This is on a 1.
Luna,
Yes.
you remember back to time you spent on a weird spaceship. The Spelljammer with the crew of space hippos.
hell yeah.
And you remember talking to an elf from one of the other groups that was brought on board. The elf wore the clothes of a monk, but his skin was blue and black, and it sort of shifted across its surface like a ever-moving ink test. He said his name was Riordan, but within him were bound two other entities, one known as Safe and the other as Gorley.
Hey, what was that G name again? I just heard you say. Except from the Book of Unicorns.
Gorley. Do you mean Gorley?
Yeah. That thing is sealed. Or at least contained. Now this is gonna sound weird, but you remember that weird alien thing we fought? So, for a while we were on this alien spaceship thing.
Yeah, I got
Maybe
this
to begin to
done.
go into it because my brain is just about the entire thing. But I
Yeah, I
met
got
this
this done.
weird elf, and he had all these weird markings. He claimed that inside his body was contained two beings, and one of the entities he said was called Gorley.
That's interesting, but it seems that Gorley, the mask that we have, the iconography doesn't match Gorley.
So,
It's still worth holding on to.
Yeah.
Smacks head on book.
what was the icon?
Milo picked up the unicorn book.
Yep.
Not touch my unicorn book.
Why is this so inaccurate?
Of course it's accurate now, because I rewrote it, the damn thing. What was the iconography of the 6 that you listed again?
So, would I have heard of the elemental eye?
You may have done, yeah. You probably would have done.
I remember the elder elemental eye was it was made up of different cults, the fire, earth, water, and air cults, and it was the symbol for that was a giant eye symbol. It's not one that we've seen in our current travels.
No, but we have been dealing with these elemental cults.
We have, but more like vestiges of them, more like what was left behind rather than the actual cults themselves, I think. Is that fair to say? I don't
I'd
know.
say so.
We have the other ones. I don't think we mentioned actually any iconography of them.
Well, didn't he say like the first one was about being chained in something?
They all have reference to chains and being chained.
Yeah, but what specifically is the reference?
And I spout all the information that.
No, that's no good to me. I need to know what
Trinaisieth, the Slumbering Doom, an entity reportedly sealed away 250 years ago in the Chult Peninsula by a group known as the Iron Scale Concord. Little is known about the Slumbering Doom itself, except the phrase that has been repeated in a number of the texts: "There are no gods, there are only chains, and those at either end."
Okay.
That doesn't sound like someone who's bound.
Yeah, no, that's more of a philosophical thing. What about the other ones?
Specific chain references.
Okay, so we've decided which one was that one?
That was Druzniath, the Slumbering Doom.
Okay, so that was Doom, and we know it's not Doom. And it was Orly we decided it wasn't?
Orly doesn't have the same iconography as the masks that we found.
Okay, what are the what were the other 4?
Malazan, the Angel in Irons.
Okay, that sounds interesting because irons is another way of saying chains.
Yeah, that's true.
But
No,
the chained one Chained sounds like a title rather than
No, not necessarily. The chained one could be angel clapped in irons, is being bound. Anyway, what about the?
While I'm not there, every single one of them is being either sealed, chained, or imprisoned in some manner. That's where I think all the links are.
Yeah.
Oh, just shush and let me work. Okay, so after the angel one.
The Elder Elemental Eye.
Okay.
Which, as we've just sort of discovered, is has been dealt with apparently.
Okay.
Theres Dune, he of eternal darkness, is an evil deity of decay, insanity, and darkness.
Okay.
But the markings on the corpses and other things didn't really match with the MO of.
It's
stretching out.
It's a common reaction.
Yeah.
Of pulling their eyes out, right? Okay, and then 4, 5. Okay, so there should be one more.
She who crawls.
That again? You look up there.
She who crawls.
Right. She who crawls. She's got no name. No, she's bound. She's definitely a she, right?
As far as you can tell, all references to her mark her as a female.
It can't be her because the voices they're hearing are men. So by sheer process of elimination, it's the angel in irons. We decided it's not Doom Guy. We know it's not Gorley. It's not the eye thingy.
I love that I put so much work into these names.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's not the guy who causes people to scratch his eyes out. So, literally, process of elimination is Angel Dude. What was the information that we got from him again?
Fought and wiped out the Doombringer Company, a group of heroes nearly 400 years ago, was sealed away in a crypt somewhere within the Sword Mountains by a dragon known as Palarandusk.
Right, is that all we know?
That is all you know at the moment.
Okay.
Who's playing the piano?
What? Yeah, someone needs to stop that because it's really blowing out my headphones.
Michael, that's you. Michael? I don't. So it's Michael I heard it from.
So he killed this group of heroes. Why were the heroes trying to fight him?
You don't know.
It's not like in the records or anything?
You can research into it.
Okay, can I do that, please?
Yeah, we all go.
Anybody who wants to research into it will take you another hour and roll me an investigation check.
Come on, roll better, please.
Oh,
Thank you.
Oh, damn. I will also look
I got
into
you,
it.
Luna. Don't worry, I got you.
Got me.
Milo.
Yes.
You find out that the Dawnbringer Company was a band of adventurers from Waterdeep around the year 1095 by Dale reckoning.
Okay.
You don't find a lot of details about their adventures. Malazan, from what you can tell, Malazan was heading to Waterdeep to try and presumably destroy it, as people tend to do when they're evil. They fought and failed to stop it.
Okay.
You do discover that the Dawnbringer Company was made up of Diana Hayden, a female halfling fighter. Amber Callahan, a female gnome druid. Guinevere Hames, a female dragonborn ranger. Evelyn Reed, a female dwarf druid. And Reed Zephyr, a male half-elf fighter.
Can you just repeat that again?
All of the names?
No, the classes I just heard.
So it was a fighter, a druid, a ranger, a druid, and a fighter.
Okay.
Lots of fighters and druids.
Just in case you need spellings of names, there are all of the names and their classes, races, and genders.
Okay. I see. Well then, is there any more information?
Not on the Dawnbringers, no.
Get any information on Thary's Dud, whatever his name is?
Thariz Dune.
Thary's Dune, yes.
You've pretty much found everything you can about him at the moment.
Does he have like any weird titles?
Roll me a quick investigation check, and I will check my notes.
Bloody work. 20.
One moment. My notes page has frozen.
You've got a lot of notes to sort through.
Does. I'm up
So
to
many notes.
55 pages.
Jeez.
You spend a third hour in the library. And you eventually find Milo in one book. A reference to Thariz Dune, the Chained Oblivion.
Oh. Okay, so basically, I just noticed that title and that's it.
That is all you find in the book.
Okay, no.
I'm going
Definitely a
to
contender.
I'm going to assume that Milo tells Lunar this.
Yes, I will.
And everybody else who's there.
Everyone.
All right. On. While Milo's researching the angel.
I'm not researching Angel. I'm actually researching Thariz Dune.
Thariz Dune.
Thariz Goon.
Dune.
Goon.
D.
Which
Thariz
one's-
Dune.
Thariz
Which one's
Dune.
that one?
That is what we
That-
put on the chat was called Heat of Eternal Darkness.
That's the one that makes the cultists tear their eyes out.
But we agreed it wasn't that one.
We said it was not likely, however, all options are still available.
Yeah, I mean, he was just looking more into the cows just because it's someone else, like really having a deep thought into it. So he doesn't look on the surface; he looks more into it. He does. That's what his thing is.
The darkness dude is called the Chained Oblivion, which is why he came up in our search.
My question, yeah, that gives me maybe like we got the chained Oblivion, and the Angel on Iron. What was there more about Malazan again?
Malazan is the angel in irons.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're definitely not dealing with She Who Crawls. Because it's definitely not a chick. I But Orly is sealed, so we know it's definitely not him. Why did we decide it wasn't the eye? Giant
Because
level?
it's been
That's-
done already.
Okay, so he's
Yeah.
dead. And Doom Guy... Definitely not Doom Guy because...
You've said it isn't. That's pretty much all there is.
Yeah.
So
I thought...
do you think that
But
our
he's in-
main kind of suspect is Malazan and Thurston?
Question, John.
Yes.
Milo was doing his research. Could Sooner have done research into to see if there was like a family line
Yeah,
of
like
the
connection.
Dawnbringers?
Connection.
It wouldn't be possible at this library, because this isn't the right sort of place to do it. But
Right.
there's probably somewhere in Waterdeep you could.
Right.
This library has a lot of books on information, not a lot, unfortunately, on genealogy. And also, it's a library in the Middle Ages, fantasy Middle Ages, but yeah, they don't have an ability to open up genealogy.com.
That is
Hmm.
entirely true. Hey, Borrowed? I
Yep.
have that really cool communication spell I can borrow.
Which one?
I need to contact the genealogy people in Waterdeep.
Or you can just contact Kaylin. She would probably be able to do something about that.
I don't know the spell you're referring to.
Oh god, that's right.
I am but a humble warlock, and sending is not on my spell list
At this point,
at
Who
this
you
point.
have?
3 hours into researching in the library at Summit Hall.
You want me to do another investigation check?
No.
Okay.
The ground starts to shake again.
Under the table
Oh,
he
that
goes.
happened.
Under the table he goes, Milo.
Archivist Vishak sort of grabs a handful of books and dives under a table himself.
I take it doesn't happen often?
It's been happening more recently. Becoming
Get
more
your butt under
common.
the table! What's wrong with you people?
I also get under the table with Milo.
Okay.
I mean,
John,
I don't...
what did you say about the Slumbering Doom again?
I'm assuming you're yelling because earthquake makes a lot of noise.
An entity reportedly sealed away 250 years ago in the Chalk Peninsula by a group known as the Iron Scale Concord. A phrase is repeated, there are no gods, there are only chains, and those at either end.
Right, he's the philosophical bastard. That's why I don't think it's him. The chains seem more like a... The chain he talks about seems like more of a metaphor than anything. That's why I struck him off the list.
Yeah.
Do you guys all dive to cover as the earthquake shakes the library?
I wouldn't say dive to cover.
Moves vaguely rapidly towards cover.
Yes.
Yes, I'll say yes.
Okay.
Lunar's just gonna lift a hand and make like an umbrella of ice.
The ground shakes violently for about 5 minutes before subsiding. And in this time, books, shelves, claps down in different places. And at the end of it, a couple of minutes pass and sort of dust starts to settle down from the roof. Hammerlord Kenwyn, the aging grey-haired knight, face etched with wrinkles, runs into the room. Or that.
Just mentioning.
What's going on?
We'll come back to that in a minute. And just sort of checks that everybody's okay.
Yeah, we're good.
And starts to help Rupert sort of set bookshelves back up again.
I take it we're not lucky enough that the exact book we need is just like fallen open.
Just
right
falls
next to us.
open on the floor at the right page. Just no, sadly not.
Oh.
In
Worth
fact,
a
that
shot.
unicorn book fell down again.
And you find another inaccuracy in it.
God damn it. Urgh.
Meanwhile, 3 hours.
Just every time you open the book, you find something else that's wrong.
You're rewriting the book, but the book is also rewriting itself back again.
Meanwhile, 3
No!
hours previously. Steel.
Hello.
You head inside the summit hall with the rest of your party, and as they disappear down to the library of Archivist Vishak, you head to the office of Lady Ushian Stormbanner.
I do.
And she is sat behind her desk, and she's got a map laid out on it. And at this point in time, the Hammer Lord is in there with her. And they're sort of looking at the various small chess piece-sized pieces that represent their knights at various places around the board. And no, they're not all little horses.
Darn it.
Same.
They are actually playing chess.
They're actually just assorted things from around the castle, like a salt shaker and
Yeah, it's all not to scale. She looks up as you come in.
Alright, just one last question, John.
Yep.
Does the mask have eye holes?
It does. The only thing it has is eye holes.
Okay. Alright, cool. Thank you.
Don't put it on if that's what you...
Put it on.
No, I'm not gonna.
wear it. It'll look
Steel.
so good on you. Yes.
As you enter the room, both Lady Ushian and Hammer Lord Kenwyn look up at you.
Hello there.
Yes?
I've come to report that we have cleared the keep.
Excellent. And she just knocks over a
Salt shaker.
stamp that marks Summit Hall. Picks it up and takes it off of the map.
Knocks it over and then goes, no, I better put it away.
It's symbolic, and then she puts it back in the drawer. You had any issues?
It seemed that some people were trying to occupy it. We determined there were cultists that were the dead bodies.
Yes, you did.
So it appeared some cultists were trying to reoccupy it, but then something attacked them.
That's disturbing.
The only things left were some undead, including a troll and one that tried to escape rather than fight us.
You think something trying to get a message back to its master?
Most definitely.
That is concerning. Did it escape?
No, between me and Borrowed and a few of the others as well, we managed to subdue it and bring it down before it managed to escape.
That is good news.
Then we found that one of the combatants was actually a human, like a living woman, that had been wearing a cursed helmet that was making her fight us, I think, against her will.
That is new. And very disturbing.
It's also apparent that this woman has a connection to the child that Luna is looking for.
You suppose that somebody left her there for you to find?
That is what I suspect, yes.
That means you're making a name for yourselves.
Considering the escapades of some of the members of this group, I have no doubt that our names have traveled.
Yes. You, experienced the quake.
Yes. As
I
we
assume.
were burning the bodies, there was a quake. It seemed almost centered on where we were.
Well, I have news. And you're not going to like it.
I had a feeling I wouldn't.
The quake... Both of the quakes in recent days... they've been centered... We've been tracking them. She gestures at the map. As you can see,
And you figured out their epicenter?
it's off the coast.
Off the coast.
Yes. Out past Waterdeep somewhere. We don't have the means to follow